Yes, this is Windows. This is my start menu. This is my time settings. This is my USB settings. Over here is my taskbar, and I can even run WinVer to prove it. This is Windows. Yeah, now you might be confused as shit on why my Windows looks like this, and I'll go over that. One of the biggest critiques of Windows, specifically Windows 11, is that it looks like dog shit. Everyone thinks that this whole new design with the middle taskbar and the and everything being fucking rounded, it just looks like dog shit, okay? Everyone thinks this sucks, including me. In this video, I talked about how to make the taskbar black, as you can see it in the video right there. I'm able to make the menus really dark, and this helps making the menus look less ugly, but it's still Windows 11's UI, okay? It's still the dog shit UI. So what if you could just outright replace the Windows desktop? This is a total replacement, a total alternative that you can use to replace Windows desktop, which is, if you didn't know, Explorer, like the File Explorer, isn't just responsible for being this app, it's also responsible for your desktop, for your taskbar, for your icons and everything. So if you could do a full Explorer replacement, that's exactly what this is, and it's called Cairo Desktop. As you can see, head over to their website, cairodesktop.com, download Cairo right here, and I'll go ahead and I'm not going to look at their website or anything because I'll actually walk you through everything in this video, and I'm probably not going to show everything, but I'll show all of the features that I find really cool. So you can see advanced, disable File Explorer current user. I actually recommend you do check this. It does say it's a more advanced option. If you really aren't sure about how you feel about Cairo and you're really just trying to test it out one time to see how it is, then consider not checking that. But if I know that I'm going to actually be using Cairo, then I would check it. And you'll see your taskbar disappear, everything go away, and you'll see everything come up like that, and you'll see welcome to Cairo with whatever the fuck this is. So go ahead and start the tour. It's telling you all about this nonsense. Basically all you need to know is that this up here is your menu bar, and this down here is your taskbar. Dynamic desktop, we'll get into that. It's the way they replace File Explorer is very unique. So if once you get it started, let me bring that back. Once you get started, it's going to find all your apps for you, and you can even add more by browsing if you want. And then you're meant to add them to this column, any ones that you'd want, because this is your start menu. So if you go up to programs right here, you can see that there's none listed. Everything that you put in this column will go here. So I would probably want Task Manager. So one thing, we'll get into more detail about this later, but the settings app doesn't work when running Cairo fully replacing File Explorer, but we'll get into that more. There's still a way you can run it. We're running Cairo now, and if you click here and go to Cairo settings, this is where you'd want to be. So automatically check for updates. You can do this if you want. I personally don't have this on, but like if for whatever reason there's like a security vulnerability or something, you'd want it fixed. I don't know why there would be in a desktop environment, but so under theme, you can change the theme. So by default, Cairo has this arrow feel, kind of similar to Windows 7, the glassy type look, if you know what I mean. You also see that the taskbar dynamically sizes based off how many things you have open. You can change this, of course, and we'll get into that. For now, though, I'm going to set it to flat accent because by default, Cairo has this blue tint to it, and flat accent makes it a gray from what I remember. Oh, well, no, actually, flat accent just uses whatever your Windows accent color is. And because my Windows accent color is black on my host machine, okay, that makes sense. So the menu bar up here, you can customize its settings, show removable drives. So if you plug in a USB, it would pop up next to these categories here. You can have the Action Center show or not, which, by the way, as of right now, yes, it pops up on the bottom. If you were to restart your system and have it fully replace Explorer, then that doesn't happen. So, and it'll start using its own stuff, like even like this, for example. Blur behind the menu bar, obviously, if you want the blur, it's there. The menu bar has a shadow. You can toggle that. You can put the menu bar on the bottom if you really want. But if you're more into that Mac OS type feel, then you'd probably want to stick with it at the top. Now you could have the tabs on the left or right. You can enable or disable the notification area. The notifications will appear about right here. And you'll have the icons, the different menu icons in the hidden tray. The desktop, you can outright disable the desktop and just have it be a background image, but I'm going to leave it on. We'll get into this more later. You can change the desktop background. If you do have multiple monitors, though, then it tries to spread the image across all the monitors, from my experience, which is a little silly. So just be a little mindful of that. It can be a little silly sometimes with multi-monitor support of the background image. So for the taskbar, you can outright disable the taskbar and use the Windows taskbar if you really want to. If you're not a fan of the taskbar, that's perfectly fine. You can still have Cairo's nonsense up here and keep your Windows built-in taskbar down here. So, but I want it on. I am going to make the icons bigger. And you can move it to the top up here with your menu bar if you really want, but I like it at the bottom. You can have it, so right here is where you can change its width, so it'll reserve space by default, overlap windows, or automatically hides. And you can show labels if you want to make it even smaller, like you can hide the text and just have it be icons, which I believe is the default setting on Windows 11. And then on show taskbar, multiple monitors, of course, if you really want that. And you can see you can group it where if there's multiple of the same window, multiple windows of the same application type, you can have it grouped together based on those settings, which is pretty nice for organization if you have a lot of windows open. And right here, use full display width for the taskbar. If you turn this on, then it will be more like a regular Windows taskbar where it just fills up entirely the bottom, which I like this a lot more. Also because it's not centered when it's on the left the way God intended. And advanced, so you can change the timing format. It even tells you how to do that if you want. If you're not familiar with that stuff, though, I wouldn't recommend it really. File manager, you can set a custom file manager here if you really wanted to, which I think is pretty cool. And you can set Windows Explorer as shell. Now, if you didn't check mark the advanced option in the installer, then this will actually say set Cairo as shell. And this will essentially make it so that whenever you log off or log into your computer, or anytime you first boot into your computer, whatever, and it won't even launch Explorer, it'll just launch Cairo. Because like I said, Windows Explorer is still running in the background. If I press the Windows key, it's going to actually bring out the Windows start menu. But if Cairo is your default shell, then when you press the Windows key, it's going to start Cairo's main menu here. So it's like fully replacing File Explorer. Now, if you were to want to access certain apps that need File Explorer running, which I believe are, from my experience, is the Windows Security app, like the Windows Defender, and the Settings app. Those are the two apps that I haven't been able to run. So if you really need to run those, then you can absolutely set Windows Explorer as shell. It's going to ask you to log off, and then when you log back in, it will be a regular Windows, and you can always boot Cairo back up from your start menu. So let's move on to the actual dynamic desktop. So normally in Windows, the way you navigate your File Explorer is by clicking here, starting File Explorer and just navigating your files, right? Everyone's used to this. Well, what if your File Explorer was your desktop? So the cool thing about Cairo is that your desktop is actually your File Explorer. And for the sake of making this simple to show, I'm going to set the home button to my C drive. So if I click the home button, I'm at my C drive. And then if I double click this folder, go into my user folder, you can actually navigate directories with this and use the back arrows, forward arrows. You can open a specific folder if you really want. And I believe you can add more buttons here, pretty sure. But you can go into Windows even. I don't know why you would. It does take a second to like load if there's a ton of folders or files, and you actually navigate it this way. And you can still, of course, if I wanted to, if I had any sort of file on my desktop or wanted to make a new file, I can still right click new, name my folder. If I could open, the folder, whatnot. So it is fully usable as a replacement. You can, of course, if you have any right click options you need, they're in there. Now, one thing that people may find annoying, some people who really like their drag and drop. So if you like to be able to drag and drop things from your desktop, you can't actually drag these. You can't drag anything in your desktop. Well, I guess sort of you can, but like if I were to drag and drop it into a program, it's not going to work. Like if I were to have an image and I try to upload it to Discord, it's not going to work. So you're going to have to manually open the file with the app that you're trying to use rather than dragging and dropping, which can be a bit annoying for some people. I'm personally not affected by that because I never use drag and drop. So one other really cool thing I want to show you is, let's say I have some stuff open. Why are there anime titties? And I were to go to, I don't know, google.com. So if I go to google.com, now I have google.com open, and you can really do this. I'm just doing this for example purposes. If you have any apps open, and let's say you wanted to access your files are on your desktop though, right? So rather than having to open File Explorer, since this is meant to be a full Explorer replacement, you actually click this button here where your start menu used to be. And when you click this, it actually opens it up in front of everything else, and you can actually navigate your files like this. Completely in front, it pushes itself in front of everything else and allows you to actually navigate it through this overlay. And when you're done using it, you just click anywhere in the empty space and it'll bring you back. Or you can, click here again, whatever. So this is pretty great in my opinion for, I mean, I really like this way of being able to navigate files. A lot of people who I've like shown this to have said that this is kind of a pretty weird way of doing it. Like it's an unusual way. This is not, this is pretty unique. Like this may take some getting used to, and it definitely took some getting used to for me too, because I'm always so used to just clicking the File Explorer. But I've gotten used to it pretty quickly, and it's pretty great for me for productivity. My experience with it is it's been pretty great for productivity, because anytime I'm, doing my work or whatever, I need to quickly open a file, I can click here, and it'll obviously, if I were to go to a different directory, it saves where you last were. So at any time I need a file, I can just quickly do that, right click, open, manage, and then close it without even having to open another app and then navigating my way each time, you know what I mean? Or keeping it open in the background or whatever. Honestly, I just fucking hate File Explorer. so this is a much greater way of doing it for me. I like it a lot better. And I've always hated Windows 11's look. I've always tried to find ways of making it look better, and I had to compromise with it. The UI just settling with my black taskbar and stuff. When now, and I've always liked having labels, like not just the icon, having the text here too and stuff, but the way Windows 11 does it is really retarded. So this is a much better alternative for me, because it's kind of like if you were to take Linux and Mac OS and mash them together, like the UI styles of Mac OS and Linux, you mash them together and put them on Windows. And then it creates Cairo, and that's why I like it, because I love Windows as a system, but I've always thought Linux and looks superior. So whenever you mash the two together, there you go. Or well, let me be clear on the Linux thing there. A lot of Linux distros look like shit by default, but with customization, you can make Linux look really great. So, and I like the, honestly, at first I was kind of feeling mid about it, but I dig the menu bar at the top. I think it's pretty great. I actually like it. And you can always still use the control panel, of course. Oh, wow. I actually didn't even know myself that you could open control panel like this. Wow. That's really cool, actually. Yeah, I didn't actually know you could open it in this overlay menu, too. It's neat. Well, Learned something new today. Goes without saying that your lock screen is still the same, of course. Basically, everything else is untouched. It just changes your desktop. So you can still use every other program perfectly normally without issue. And the greatest thing about Cairo 2 is I feel like it's actually really easy to set up and it's really easy to use. So it's not like this isn't user-friendly. This is actually very user-friendly in my opinion. I actually think that Cairo is a pretty great desktop of choice, even for someone who isn't, if you're not very technical or whatever, maybe you don't understand computers, although you're not super tech savvy, Cairo's still a great option for you if you like that more Mac OS or Linux type feel. So give it a shot if you really want to. Shout out to the Cairo devs because this is pretty epic. I haven't actually seen other desktop environments or shell replacements. Windows shell replacement. I don't even think there are other shell replacements, are there? Open shell menu. Let's see. I may have to do a video going over all the shell replacements. No, this isn't a shell replacement. This just modifies the Windows shell. Have there been other shell replacements? There's other shell replacements, but it seems to be for old versions of Windows, like Windows Vista and Windows 7 and stuff. Seems to be like the only version that's for Windows 11. Rain meter, sorta. It doesn't really count though. It's more like to make desktop widgets and skins and stuff. It's not really to fully replace it. It doesn't add any like new crazy functionality or anything. Sharp shell. Yeah, but didn't we just look at Sharp shell? Wasn't it for old versions of Windows? Or am I stupid? Oh, this doesn't even exist. Peak. Light shell. Let's see. I think ChatGPT is just on crack. Honestly. Let's see. Light shell. Because now I'm interested. I may have to do a video just trying out a bunch of different shell replacements. Oh. This is not at all what we were meant to be looking at. Taskbar X. That just customized the taskbar. So this really seems to me like it's the only like full-on desktop replacement, like a Explorer replacement. Well, if you give Cairo a shot, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments, because I've been using it for a while. I think it's pretty great. I would love to hear what other people think about it. And if you want to know how to make Windows less garbage, not just looks-wise, but also just fundamentally wise, I do have a video talking about how you can de-bloat Windows and get rid of telemetry and spying and other dog shit, if you're interested in that. And if you don't want to use Windows 11 at all, you can still use Windows 10 past October 2025 and get like an extra year or two of support and updates. Also, I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers. Please subscribe. Please subscribe.